back once again, and now with a new set of daily drills. Let's get into it. Hi, I'm Bryan from Airflow Music. Welcome back to another video. This is another Go Practice session, and in this one we're going to start with a new set of the daily drills. We're going to move on to set 10. Obviously during set 9 we got a little bit off track with doing these all the time, and I'm not necessarily going to be able to do these daily moving forward, at least this week, because it's very busy. But certainly we can get started with these because I think they're kind of interesting. It follows the same overall format in that we've got the stability drill and the motion drill, but there's an important change in the stability drill this time. So let's pull this up on the screen right now. So as you can see, what we're dealing with now is, rather than playing intervals, what we're doing is working some what you might call reverse bends, or what I prefer to call static bends, into these. So as we play along, we're going to breath start the first note of each phrase. The second note is going to be tongued. Then we're going to hold over but change the fingering and slur into that in the third note, maintaining the same pitch, but fingering the note a semitone or a half step above. Tongue that on the bend there, and then slur back into the regular fingering. It's kind of convoluted to explain, and it's going to be an interesting one to get the feel for. It's fairly easy to do in the lower register. It becomes more challenging in the upper register if you don't play bends a lot, but I think it's very doable. So that's what we're going to work with. Other than that, the rules for the exercise are the same. We're treating this as a long setting, so the aim is to keep the mouthpiece on our lips throughout the entire thing. Although, if you're new to long setting exercises, this is quite a long one, so if you do need to break the long setting or take a break at some point during it, by all means go ahead. The goal here is not to hurt ourselves. You're at liberty to do that if you wish. Just pause the video if you're playing along, and then join back in after a while. Let's get into this and try it out. All the fingerings that I prefer for this, the alternate fingerings on the bent notes, or the static bent notes, are marked on the PDF. So I think once you do a few of them, you should be able to see what I'm getting up to. Any questions about this after you've tried it out, please do leave them in the comments down below. But in the meantime, usual old deal, 60 beats a minute, and let's try it out and get into it. For me, this was a pretty good first run through of this exercise. This was something I just cooked up yesterday when I was thinking about how to improve the smoothness of my airflow going from the low C to the low D flat on the previous exercise that we were dealing with. And it occurred to me to do some reverse bends, and it occurred to me to put these into the entire exercise. And so I tried it out one day ahead of dealing with them for the video this first time. And I must say I really like how they make my chops feel. I really feel like my notes become more secure, and on the gig last night I was very confident in my slotting, even more so than usual. It is a little bit interesting starting out, and because it's a little bit fiddly, breath starting this note, tonguing this note, slurring into a bend, so on and so forth, I made a couple of flubs as I went along, didn't get the articulation quite right, but overall, for a first time out, I feel pretty happy with that. How did you find it? Because this is interesting and a bit different. As the bend something you can cope with? Is it something that's difficult for you? If you have questions about it and what we're dealing with here, please do ask them down below, and I'll try and see if I can give you some tips to help out with doing them. Let's move on to exercise 2. This is a motion drill. This follows the same pattern basically as before as well, except we've changed up the rhythms. So this is fairly straight ahead. It's still a flexibility type pattern into a developed scale. We're just starting in triplets, moving into 16th notes, playing the whole thing in 16th notes, slurred first time, then tongued on the repeat. Same overall thing as before. So let's read this one down, see how it is. I'm going to back off the tempo a little bit. It's tough. You've got to strike a balance between going slow enough to get your fingers around it for the first time, but also it's quite a long phrase, so we can't go too slow or we'll be out of air. So I've elected to start out at 88 beats a minute, and let's give it a try. better start. My biggest problem there with this exercise was maintaining breath support and keeping the phrase going in some of the lower keys. Again, because it's quite a quick turnaround with the 2 bars rest in between, it's one of those things where you've got to really concentrate on getting a good and consistent breath and being consistent in your setup to do that. And so, as I've talked about before, this is why I like to practice things like this, just to do that and work on that consistency. And because, you know, I took a week off a few weeks ago for vacation and things like that, I'm a little bit off track with that right now. So this will be good practice this week for me to get back into it. How did you find this one? How's the tempo? How did you like the pattern? We're still dealing with major scales, so it shouldn't be anything dreadfully complicated. I'm interested to hear what you think about it. Anyway, that's what I have for you in this one. So if you've enjoyed this exercise and playing along with me, please do hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'll be back with another one very soon, in the next day or two, hopefully tomorrow. And until then, I think you know what to do. Go practice.